Hello, hello. I believe we are live. See Roel's in here. Mark's in here. What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys for being here. Coal miner's daughter, what's going on? Great to see you guys. Thank y'all for hanging out this evening. I believe we are live on Instagram as well. Denise, what's going on? I love you. Karen, hello. Great to see everybody. Welcome to the Performance Medicine Show, our live Q&A. Doc will be in the building here shortly. We're going to be answering all your health and wellness questions. Looking forward to a great show tonight. Super pumped. If you guys have questions, you know the drill. Go ahead and put them in the comments. We got a couple questions that came in throughout the week, and one we missed last week. We're going to cover a little bit on. Bianca, what's up? So good to see you live again. Thank you for in advance. I know Bianca watches after the live show, so thank you. But I'm pumped to see you here live. Tom, what's going on, man? Great to see you. Yeah, it's cold. It is cold where I'm at too. As you can see, I'm bundled up here for the show here in Knoxville. It was getting down to 30s. Yes, Mark, I did. I have no clue why that is the way it is. That's super interesting. Grandma Mary, what's going on? I hope you guys had a wonderful snow day over there at the Blake. Up in the Tri-Cities, got a little snow. We didn't get as much. Of course, April's in here now. April, what's going on? Our regional manager in the Knoxville area. She had some snow down there, so I hope I'm hoping you're not driving right now, April. I'm hoping you're safe at home. Thank you for being with us tonight. Let's see, Tabitha, what's going on? Great to see you. It was so much fun to see you guys last week over there in Kingsport. Yeah, Tom, it's cold. It's getting really cold. April told me this afternoon it's going to get a little warmer, hopefully, in the next couple of days. Let's see here. If you're with us live, let me know. If you're a first time listener, let me know where you're from. This week's episode of the Common Sense MD was super interesting. I don't know if anybody's gotten a chance to watch it yet. It was on the female brain. I kind of teased it out yesterday. And this is around, it's really about the female brain, and we changed the thumbnail up a bit for YouTube. But it's super interesting. It's based on this book here by Dr. Luann Brizendine. And I hope you guys will check it out. It's super, super interesting. And I mean, it's interesting for males and females. So I would encourage all you guys to check it out. Talks a lot about hormones and the role that they play as well. Ivy and JC with Ivy, what's going on? It was so good to see you the other day over there in Johnson City. Thank you for being here tonight, as always. Michelle, what's going on? So good to see you. Stan, what's up? Great to see you. I hope everybody's having a wonderful evening. And Candace, what's going on over there on Instagram? I see you. I see you over there. Thank you for hanging out. If you guys got questions for Doc, go ahead and put it in the comments. We're going to have a lot of time for live questions today. Thank you, Roel. Thank you. The Cyber Monday was super, super fun. We had so much participation, and we really appreciate you guys. Really, really appreciate you guys. Steve, what's up, my brother? It was so good to check in today. Hearing your voice is one of the highlights of my week, man. So thank you for the time today. Thank you for the fellowship, as always. Is Doc ready to roll? All right, let's rock it. What's going on, man?
Good. How are you?
I am wonderful. You staying warm up there in Kingsport?
Yeah, it's cold up here. I'm glad to be doing this Q&A tonight. Nothing else to do. I mean, I'd rather be in here than outside. So, the rest of you, I'd rather be on my bike, or playing pickleball or doing something outside. But right now, I'd rather be here. So,
yes. I hope a lot of people come to to our shows in the wintertime, because there really isn't another place you'd rather be if it's cold out. I know when it's warm and when it's a nice night, you do like a bike ride, you do like, a good pickleball game. So I'm glad we got quite a few people here tonight that can take advantage
Maybe
of.
a bowling alley. I mean, that'd be a good place to be right now, I guess, if you're a bowler.
Or you know what else would be fun? Carter, happy Tuesday to you. So good to see you in here. So much fun to hang out with y'all last week. Y'all did such an amazing job. And yesterday with the Cyber Monday sales, it was good to get to see behind the scenes with Katie and Carter putting together all those vitamin orders. Yeah, this time of year, I like going to the movie theater. I might go to the
Yeah.
movie tonight.
Really? What are you going to see?
Actually, is it the third? I think Juror number 2 is out on, I think you can rent it through Amazon today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do wanna see Juror number 2.
Okay.
And, Gladiator 2 is out, over there, at the theater. So, I'm probably not gonna go to the theater tonight, but
Ben, we're talking about movies. We're supposed to be talking about medicine here.
I know, and Edna's here. Edna wants to hear us talk about health and wellness, not our favorite movie picks.
I don't blame her.
Even though I did watch The Holiday last night, and I still think it's one of the better Christmas season movies of all time.
That's a good one.
All right, we got some questions coming in. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, Coal Miner's Daughter. It seems Steve has already seen The Gladiator. Steve, let me know what you thought. And we're going to start with one that came through email, and then we will get to the live questions. All right. And this one's super close to home. I read it this afternoon. Please briefly explain the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Also, is it common for a 29-year-old to be diagnosed with type 1? Sibling was diagnosed 16 years ago at age 12. And Andy, I think, is going to be on the show in the next couple of weeks. He can riff even more on this as someone with type 1 diabetes. What's your answer to this, Don?
Yeah, and he also has a sibling, Kelly, with type 1. So, yeah, I mean, there is somewhat of a genetic component to having type 1 and type 2. So, yeah, there's a huge difference between type 1 and type 2, although in the end, they can both suffer from the same consequences. But type 1 usually comes on early in life, childhood, teenage years, and sometimes adulthood, like age 29, or even I've seen six cases this year in patients in their 50s developing type 1. Type 1 is where type 1 is an autoimmune disease where your pancreas quits producing insulin. And it usually happens, again, in childhood. They used to call it juvenile diabetes. Now they don't call it that. They call it type 1. Some people call it insulin-dependent diabetes, but really there can be type 2s that need insulin as well. But type 1, like I say, is a malfunction of your pancreatic beta cells where you don't produce insulin, so you have to take insulin. Type 2 diabetes is more adult onset usually, although there are overweight kids coming down with type 2 early on, even before the age of 10. It used to be rare. Both type 1 and type 2 are going up in incidence for sure. Type 2 is more associated with obesity, insulin resistance, diet. Usually with type 1, when you get it, there's no turning back. You're insulin dependent until they come up with a cure for it. Type 2, you can actually reverse almost all cases of type 2 by what you eat. So type 2 is more you get as an older obese patient, although sometimes I've seen some leaner type 2 that may be explained through genetics. But in any case, type 2 usually have too much insulin. It just doesn't work very well. And so it keeps going up and it just won't work. It starts out with insulin resistance, which we see in our office every day. As a matter of fact, probably I think 93% of all adult Americans are insulin resistant and have metabolic syndrome. So that's pretty scary. That's why you need to eat less sugar for one thing, and stay lean. There's a lot of different treatments for type 2, of course, the first one being a low carb diet, but there's all kinds of medicines for it. The last thing you want to do as a type 2 diabetic is get on insulin, because insulin, remember, is a fat storing hormone. It makes you even bigger, and it makes you crave carbs. That's what insulin does. So, unless you've gotten to the point where you've had it so long that your pancreas just doesn't put any more insulin out, then you almost become like a type 1. But so type 1 comes earlier. It's more serious. It's a lifelong thing until they find a cure for it. Nobody really knows what causes it. Although a lot of people think it's a viral illness that gets into the pancreas. Coxsackie virus right now theory is probably the most popular theory right now, but you'll see a lot of both. So yeah.
It's a great question, and I'm thankful that this came in. And real quick, for those who've been following us for a bit, we often say type 2 can be reversed. Is that the only way to do that is through low carb and just losing a bunch of weight? Because you did say you could be insulin resistant and be, quote unquote, skinny.
You can. It's rare though.
Okay.
It's really rare. But yeah, most type 2s can be reversed. And again, we have good medications for it. Of course, the new GLP-1s, GIPs are, life-changing medications with a lot of great side effects, good side effects. Of course, they have some bad side effects like nausea, constipation, but the benefits far outweigh the risk for most people. So there's a lot of those.
Can we talk about that? One of the things I love to do on this show is kind of, because I overhear you talking with, a lot of our team, and you and I are on the phone, or you and Andy and I hear, and, today you mentioned to me around things with the GLP-1s and some cancer or anti-cancer effects. What did you read? You sent me an article.
There was a research paper that looked at the incidence of cancers in people that use the GLP-1s, and it's lower, 30 to 40% or higher. So, I mean, we know there's less heart disease, reversal of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, reversal of chronic renal disease in diabetics, less dementia, of course, curing of diabetes, curing of obesity, and now maybe a cancer benefit, anti-cancer type drug. So it's great medicine, it really is.
It's super interesting. We're going to keep you guys updated with all the latest that come out around GLP-1s, as well as all the other things that kind of fits into our sphere. I see Debbie's in here. Debbie's over in Australia. Welcome in. Good morning to you. Thank you for being with us. I'm going to put this up from Carter because I'm curious too. Have you finished the Good Energy? And when can we get Carter that book?
Yeah, as soon as I finish it. I'm not quite finished with it. I'm over halfway finished, but it's a great book. It's really nothing really earth-shattering to me because we've been doing this kind of medicine for 18 years. So, but the thing about her, she's got a lot of cred. You know what I mean by that, Ben? Credentials. And
I would have said credibility.
Yeah. Well, same thing, I guess. But yeah, and she's got a lot of studies that prove it, and she just puts it in a good way. It's a very good book for most people to read that aren't familiar with the way medicine is practiced in this country. And it's really it's eye-opening, really. I'm hoping that things change in the future in this country with the way medicine's delivered, especially primary care medicine. I think we've been doing it the right way for 18 years. I really do. The first 20 years of my career, I was more traditional, having to put up with a lot of the bureaucracy, red tape, and seeing too many patients per day to really get to know them and solve their problems. Just put them on another medicine like we're taught to do, label them, put them on medicine, and then let them go, and really not getting to the root cause of the problem. Her whole book's about getting to the root cause of the problem, which you're not doing. So we need to, and she talks a lot about obesity and hormones and, alternative ways of treating people. And it's just a great book. I recommend it to anybody. I'll do a book review of that, kind of like I did a book review of this one today. If anybody saw my podcast on the female brain, I hope the podcast is listened to by a lot of people, because that's a great book written by a Harvard neuropsychiatrist that's been practicing for many years. And it's interesting that she's been treating her psychiatric patients since 1990 with bioidentical hormones.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So really interesting book. I mean, it goes along with everything we're doing too. I mean, again, it wasn't anything new to me, but it's just good to see that kind of credentials and backed up with the studies and how the WHI study went wrong, and turned a lot of patients and doctors off of hormone replacement therapy when that's the thing that they need. So it's just interesting how the female brain is different than the male brain. And I wish I'd have read this 50 years ago. Everybody should read it, male or female, because it's a book on the stages of a female's life and the way the brain acts. And a lot of it has to do with hormones. Most of it does. And then how they affect the neurotransmitters, etc. But I hope you'll listen to the podcast, and then maybe if you want to take a deeper dive, read the book. It's very interesting with a lot of case studies, which are always the best way to write a book.
Out of curiosity, I've heard you say quite a bit, and I'm sure this book kind of sheds light on this. Is there is a generation of women who were really who missed out on hormones because of the study, like the Women's Health Initiative. Would you say, like, your mom's generation missed out as well on?
No, probably the generation after my mom.
Okay, the generation after. Okay.
Yeah. Probably more my generation.
Okay.
And really, as this book emphasizes, the earlier you start replacing them, the better the effects are later in life. They're still good whenever. And I've started 80-year-old women on hormones. But if you start earlier, in your mid-40s, by 50, the benefits are really a lot better.
Yeah, and I think, and both for men and women, it does seem like a lot of the conversation is around libido as a reason to get on hormones, and really it's sure, that's one reason, but that's probably down the totem pole for all the other health benefits of it. I'm sure this book touches on that.
Exactly right. I mean, really, it's not just for libido or muscle with testosterone, for example, and it's not just estrogen for bone health and heart protection for women. It's for brains. It's for collagen structure. It's for energy. It's for dementia prevention. All that stuff. If you're, in my opinion, if you're male or female and you don't look at your hormones in midlife, then you're really missing the boat. And you've been fed a lot of misinformation, most likely. I have women all the time. When I ask them, have you looked at your hormone levels? You thought about hormone replacement? They go, no, I can't do that. I had an aunt that had breast cancer. I'm thinking, that does not make sense to me.
Yeah.
These hormones do not cause breast cancer. They do not cause heart disease. So, it's sad that they've been miseducated for these many years. But doctors are doing a major turnaround on this.
I agree.
They're realizing, gosh, They were wrong. It's just like a lot of stuff with COVID, they were wrong.
Well, I,
You should read the book Blind Spots by Dr. Marty Makary. Who's a surgeon at Johns Hopkins, one of the most published doctors out there in the world. And as a matter of fact, I think he's going to be part of the new administration.
I think so too.
So that's an eye-opening book too. Really, and I'm sure he knows Casey Means. They think a lot alike. Listen to Peter Attia on hormone replacement. I mean, go to his research.
It's really interesting as I'm hearing you talk, part of my brain is like, these are really good resources, other providers, people in healthcare should read things like Blind Spots, but really it's not only the physicians, the nurse practitioners, the PAs, the, people in healthcare, the RNs, the MAs, but it's also the patients that need to know this stuff too. Like patients, need to be informed, just like, the people in healthcare. I'm just trying to kind of put together why someone who isn't a provider would read something like Blind Spots.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there, especially patients like I get, very interested in their own health. So
Yeah,
they do their research, and which is great. The average person, just blindly trust, the system. The system's wrong about a lot of things.
and they're generally just late, and that's just the nature of it. It's just they're 10 years behind, 5 years behind.
Yeah, at least 10. Yeah, and they have this thing called cognitive dissonance that's going on. So they'll just doggedly treat people the same way they were taught 30 years ago. That's the way I learned it. That's got to be the truth. They don't read the recent research, and they don't listen to what their patients want and need, which is, you can't blame the doctors. I mean, gosh, I used to be seeing 40 patients a day at least. Now I see 12 a day.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more sometimes. But so I have more time, and it's better medicine.
I love this topic, and I want to. I'm seeing questions come through, so I want to make sure we get to as many live questions as possible tonight. Real quick, Doc, there was a topic that we wanted to do a little more research on from last week, and that's around moringa, I believe. Moringa capsules for acute leukemia. I believe you've done a little research. Is there anything you want to? I hope they're here, and if not,
I looked up some things about it, and didn't specifically say treating acute leukemia with it, but it does have. It's a vegetable that's found in, I think, maybe the Himalayas and maybe Australia, India, maybe. But anyway, it's a vegetable, and the moringa comes from the leaves and bark of these vegetables, and they've been found to have some anti-cancer properties. I think more of the research has been done with breast and colon cancer than it has with leukemia, blood cancers. But certainly it has been shown to have some anti-cancer properties. So, if you really realize it, about 75% of chemotherapeutic drugs come from plants. So, using other plants that, may have less side effects than the potent chemotherapeutic drugs they sometimes use could be an option. Usually what I do is add them to the oncologist regimen. It makes them more effective. The ones I really use a lot of course, are fenbendazole, ivermectin, artemisinin, and of course, milk thistle, curcumin, melatonin. They all have anti-cancer effects. And even rapamycin does. So, I always urge my cancer patients to, get the traditional treatment. Some of them just flat out refuse to do it, especially chemotherapy. That's their choice, of course. But, I use a lot of these alternative in addition to that. So a lot of times we use IV vitamin C, high doses, ketogenic diets, things like that. But, yeah, you know, when you have cancer, you need to hit it with everything you have. So
Thank you for touching on that. I hope that listeners is here or is listening after the live show. I'm seeing tons of questions come in. Thank you guys. I see you, Jay Jenkins, Terry. What's up, Linda? I see your question. Thank you guys. We're gonna get to the live portion of the show. So if you have a question for Doc, go ahead and put it in the comments. As you know, I think we'll get to every single one here. We're gonna be here for another 40 minutes or so. Let's see where we're at. Let's see if I can find now. I'm losing where the first one was. Let's get to Coal Miner's daughter. Is Neurontin effective for restless leg? What are the downsides of taking this medication, Neurontin?
yeah, which is gabapentin. I don't think it's that effective for restless leg syndrome. It's good for neuropathic pain, nerve pain. So we use it quite a bit for some of those syndromes. But I use more Mirapex for restless legs if I have to go to a prescription medicine. Sometimes I have to even use something heavy like Klonopin, or I've known patients that go to methadone clinics because their restless leg is so terrible. But I always, of course, take magnesium and do some of this stuff. It's hard to treat. These antidepressants, all that. Neurontin's not a choice of mine for that. I just don't think it works good for that. You could always try it. Downsides of this medicine, it causes a lot of drowsiness. That's why you take it at night. Some people have to take it during the day for other neuropathies, but also weight gain. So fatigue and weight gain are some things I've seen with it. I'm treating a good friend right now with shingles with it, and with the post-herpetic neuralgia, shingles pain. The rash goes away. You're still left with burning nerves, and it's pretty effective for that. Another off-label use that I've found to be pretty effective is for intractable hiccups. I've used it for that a few times. When you can't stop hiccuping.
Interesting.
You ever had the hiccups that wouldn't go away?
I've had hiccups before.
They're not fun.
They're definitely not fun. What works for me, and maybe this is just my own, cognitive dissonance, but having a cookie.
Okay.
It works almost every time.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I eat a little cookie.
Okay. Try that.
All right, let's keep moving. Coal Miner's daughter, thank you for that wonderful question. Let's get to Stan on Facebook. Thank you, Stan. People with type 2 diabetes, does not drinking enough water or gluten allergies increase your blood sugar?
I can certainly see where, if you ingested gluten, it could raise your blood sugar because it causes inflammation. It sets off a cascade of cortisol, that type thing. Your cortisol is very related to insulin, because sometimes when your cortisol, the stress hormone, goes up, it pushes your insulin level up too. So dehydration, it could affect the way your blood sugar is read. It sure could. So you may not get as accurate a measurement if you're extremely dehydrated. But, for most people, those are minor factors for type 2 diabetes. It's more what, carbs. But yeah, everybody's a little different in the way that's why I had a new patient today who has metabolic syndrome, and I immediately had him get a CGM, continuous glucose monitor, because he was, I'm sure, insulin resistant. We'll see what his labs look like, but those CGMs are amazing. Otherwise, you don't have a clue as to what your sugar is doing, 24 hours a day. You're just taking a snapshot of it. So get a CGM, continuous glucose monitor.
Stan, thank you for that question. We're going to keep moving here. Let's see where we're at. Thank you guys. Such great comments going on right now. Thank you guys for chiming in. I love it. Let's get to Roel. Thank you, Roel. I'm currently on 200 milligrams of testosterone every 2 weeks, 25 milligrams of losartan, and 5 milligrams of tadalafil daily. Can I still take vitamins?
Sure, there's no contraindication at all. You might even think about taking 100 milligrams weekly. By the time you hit 2 weeks, you're going to be feeling bad for about 5 days. So, do it weekly. Really, the best way to do it is twice weekly in smaller doses. Or do pellets where you get continuous release, slow release of your testosterone. But certainly you're not going to, make sure too when you take testosterone, you take zinc and copper, and watch the your estrogen levels and watch your hematocrit as well. But those are fine medicines. And a low dose of losartan for your blood pressure, probably.
And when you say watch your estrogen and hematocrit, is that every 6 months, once a year? How do you generally?
It depends on how dialed in you are. I mean, at first, after a couple months of being on testosterone, I check those. And then if I've got you dialed in where I want you to be, then every 6 months on the labs is probably fine.
Okay. Seems Stan has its CGM, Dexcom 7. Nice.
Awesome.
Thank you, Stan.
Love it.
All right, let's keep moving. Let's see where I'm at. All right, thank you guys. Let's go to Jay Jenkins. Thank you, Jay Jenkins. I have overexposed myself to avocado, coconut, and nuts, which now results in a burning feeling in my mouth and throat when I eat them. Is there anything I can do to be able to eat these again? That's interesting. What's your thoughts on this?
Wow. You may want to get a food allergy test. We do those in the office, or even see an allergist to see what's going on with that. Again, get them. I'm sure you've gotten them out of your diet so far. You might want to kind of balance your gut microbiome. There's even probiotics you can take for your oral cavity. That's really interesting. You might even want to go to somebody like Dr. Creech, the dentist that does. She actually has a test where she'll check the microbiome of your mouth to see what pathogenic bacteria you may have. I've done a podcast with her. I'm going to do another one soon. But when you say overexpose yourself to it, meaning eating too much of it, I don't know. The first thing I would cut out would be the nuts. You may have an oxalate problem. That'd be more common that you would have that. So cut them out first if you're going to do that. And then and if you're still burning, cut the other ones out one at a time, add them back one at a time, but I'd probably leave the nuts out. Nuts aren't as good for you as people think, in my opinion. There's a lot of bad stuff in nuts.
Have you ever there are certain foods where if I eat too much of them, I'll get like a sore in my mouth, and I don't think that's what Jay Jenkins is. Mine's not a burning; it's more of just like a canker sore almost.
That's a different thing.
But like you've said before, L-lysine is part of your vitamin stack daily, and I don't know if that would help with this.
Couldn't hurt. Yeah. I used to get canker sores, and then I started taking rapamycin. Knock on wood, I hadn't had one since. And this one side effect of rapamycin is canker sores. That's why I held off on taking it. But it's interesting how it's really helped it. Plus, I do take L-lysine. I've been taking that for years. But coming from a guy with a lot of mouth sores and tongue problems that I had after COVID. I had some horrible problems with, I even had my tongue biopsied. That's how bad it got. And of course, certain foods burn the heck out of it. But it seems like when I got over that, actually, I think LDN, low dose naltrexone, really helped me with that. But then I actually went to Dr. Creech too, and she helped me a lot. I went to several people for this. It was, I got to the point
I remember.
I couldn't eat.
Yeah, you
Drinking
lost.
water. Yeah, I lost 20 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm skinny anyway. You know?
No, I remember that, and I'd encourage anybody to go back and listen to those episodes with Dr. Susan Creech. It's amazing how much of your health is in your mouth, and how much is going on up there. It's
Something's
so
going
important.
on. Yeah, something's going on if you're having that kind of problem.
Yeah. I want to put this up real quick. I know this is a bit random, but we send out Performance Weekly every Tuesday, and we put this in here. This is us, Andy, right there. One of our most popular videos on our YouTube channel is how to fill a syringe with no bubbles. Andy gives a demo. I don't know how many people in here live with us tonight self-inject or have to use any shots on their own. Andy kind of walks us through how to get a syringe filled with no bubbles. It's super fun. So I hope you guys will check it out. I put it in there because I hadn't watched it in a while, and it's a super cool and informative video. Thank you, Andy, for doing that for us. Okay, let's keep going. I see Dennis is in here. Thank you, Dennis. Linda, I'm going to get to her, then I'll get to Dennis' question, then Mark. What's the best to take for high LDL?
Of course, the statins are going to bring your LDL down better. Then, although there are some new medicines that aren't statins that are infusions that you can do. But again, it just depends on how high they are and what your ApoB number is. It's not just about the LDL. It's about is your LDL oxidized? Is it type A LDL pattern, which is better than type B? Type A, that means your liver is able to get rid of your LDL. Your ApoB is the probably single most important measurement that we do, of course, on the Clevelands. And it's a combination of all the atherogenic particles of LDL. And so the statins will definitely bring it down, but whether I use them or not depends on your other risk factors, because they do have a lot of side effects. I don't use them as often as most doctors do. I'm not really that keen on them in most cases. Some people, if you had a stent or you had familial hypercholesterolemia, then maybe, or you had a bypass, then I will use them. But yeah, I mean, they do work, the statins, but to me, a lot of it depends on the situation. So it's hard to lower them by yourself. If I had to use any natural medicines for it, my favorite is really the tocotrienols, which is a cousin of vitamin E. I think that helps. But there's others too, of course, like berberine, hawthorn, aged garlic, I think works pretty well. Red yeast rice, of course, which is kind of more of a natural statin. But that will definitely come down if you can tolerate a statin. But look at your other risk factors and look at the numbers a little closer before you just get stuck on one of those.
Linda, great question. Thank you for putting that in there. I know, a lot of people, are concerned with a high LDL, and Doc is right. You're very consistent. Look at everything. Don't just look, even if it's, cholesterol, don't just look at one number. So thank you for Linda giving us the opportunity to talk about that. I want to get to Dennis and then Mark. I see Jackson here. Jack, what's going on, man? And I love Tom's comment around the pineapple too. That's right. Pineapple does that to me as well. What is your thoughts on colostrum?
Hey, Dennis. Yeah, I like colostrum. I certainly took it when, I had those mouth and GI problems after COVID. I think it really helps. It has so many nutrients in it. They call it first milk, but some grass-fed beef colostrum is really a good thing to take, especially if you have any kind of GI problems and probably really any kind of autoimmune issues. So I'm all for it. It's in my cabinet. I don't use it every day. I usually reserve it for when I'm having some digestive issues, which, isn't real, knock on wood, I'm doing pretty good right now. But I do like colostrum.
That's interesting. I feel like colostrum's come up quite a bit
Well, we get a
recently.
lot of
Yeah.
questions on that. Yeah, maybe I'll do a podcast on it. Just if
Yeah.
I've never done it on that.
Thank you for putting that in there, Dennis. Okay, let's get to Mark's question around GLP-1s. Could GLP-1 RAs anti-cancer abilities to due to increased gut bacterial diversity, promote beneficial species and reduce harmfulness, restores balance? Do you think the broad benefits of GLP-1 RAs, even cancer, stems from their impact on the gut microbiome, particularly by modulating SCFA production?
Small chain fatty acids. Yeah, I think so. Nobody really knows. The articles I've read, nobody's sure. It seems to be, in my opinion, everything relates to the gut. Certainly GLP-1 or gut hormones. So I think they do have something to do with the gut microbiome regulation. And, if you have a healthy gut, not obese, don't drink alcohol, smoke, you probably, you're not going to get cancer. Yeah, that's a great point. They're not sure, but I suspect it's going to be something along those lines.
Mark, thank you for putting that in there. And I keep forgetting. Yeah, the GLP-1s are gut hormones. So thank you for letting us talk about that. All right, let's keep moving here. Let's see where I'm at. Sorry if I miss you, or if I have missed you, put it at the end and I'll make sure to get everybody. I'm going to put this up from Royal. It's a great comment. 10 to 15-minute walks have been amazing after meals, has dropped our glucose with our CGM experiment. That's phenomenal. Have you noticed that, Roel, like actual data with your CGM, that it drops just with a 10, 15-minute walk after meals?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Doing that after your main meal of the day, really you should do it after both meals that you should be eating today, twice a day. The other thing is some people think that if you eat, I always tell people don't eat naked carbs. So don't eat carbs without some protein or fat. And maybe even, before your meal, about 15 to 30 minutes before your meal, your main meal of the day, you can have a protein shake. That will really blunt that spike and sugars that a lot of people get with it. But I'm glad you're doing that. It's certainly been tremendously helpful for our family.
Thank you, Roel, for that. Let's see where I'm at. There we go. Oliver, thank you. Oliver, we're just talking about Moringa. Moringa powder good as a daily supplement, or is tea better? So I hope that's enough context, Doc. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, green tea extract you're probably talking about. Although all teas have these catechins in them that are helpful, EGCAs. Gosh, I think they're both good. I wouldn't, I don't know as much about Moringa as I do some of the other things. So that, I don't know. I'd certainly think that if I had a breast or colon cancer, I would sure make Moringa part of my anti-cancer regimen after reading what I did. But I don't know. I think they both have their places, and they both probably have some anti-cancer effects. I don't think there's any doubt about it. But I wouldn't probably choose one over another, because in reading about Moringa, which I assume you're going to hear more about soon, maybe a pretty powerful cancer fighter. I didn't hear any negatives about it, so some people can't tolerate any kind of tea.
Oliver, thank you for putting that in there. I hope that helps a little bit. Thank you, Doc. Let's get to Debbie. Thank you, Debbie, over in Australia. I have high cholesterol and am intolerant to statins. My GP has suggested testing my calcium score. What would this show? So this is around the CT calcium score.
Yeah. CT calcium, which I try to get that, and Cleveland Heart Panel on everybody that comes in. Again, get a lipid panel that's going to show you all the nuances like particle size, ApoB, LP little a. It's not just high cholesterol. It's not HDL or LDL or triglycerides. You need those, but you need to take a deeper dive. I don't like statins that much either. And again, the reason to get the calcium score is to see if you have any calcium plaque in your coronary arteries. So it kind of is a good measurement of your risk for having heart disease, which is the only reason you would take a statin in the first place, is to prevent heart disease. But it hasn't been shown, the statins are not what they're cracked up to be. They're over emphasized, I think. And really, the stats show that for every 1,000 people that take a statin, it may save one person out of 1,000 from having a non-fatal MI. So, there's just more information to make a decision on whether or not you should get on any cholesterol lowering medication, even the new infusions that aren't statins and seem to work even better than statins, but their infusions are expensive. Insurance doesn't want to pay for them. I don't do them in the office. I've sent a few people to the cardiology office where they do the infusions if they need, but don't freak out too much about cholesterol like a lot of people do.
Debbie, thank you so much for that question. I hope that helps a little bit. I see Esty Bestie, Jasmine Almonds over there on Instagram. Huge shout out to Jasmine, our esthetician over in the West Knoxville office. Thank you for being with us tonight. It's so good to see you. I need to get my back cleared up with some waxing. There's no doubt about that.
We don't need to hear about that on the live show.
It's just the truth. It is just the truth. Jasmine does such a great job. Thank you, Jasmine. Let's get to, this is great. This is around Bob here. Is your brother the one who raises bees? Can he make bee bread, fermented honey and pollen? That's interesting. Never heard of bee bread.
Yeah, he makes the best honey. This year's crop was great. I don't know. The bee pollen's a good little supplement too, but I've never seen it made into bread.
I haven't either.
I'll have to ask him about that if he knows anything about it, because he's a good beekeeper.
He is. What a great question.
That'd be a better form of bread than most, I would assume.
Artificial sweeteners bad for mouth sores. Yeah, I would try to stay away from those anyways. Tom, it's a great comment. Thank you so much. I think, have I missed a question? If I've missed you and you're with me live, let me know, and we will go put that at the bottom so I see it. I want to make sure we get to everybody tonight. We got a few more minutes here. Let's see. Let's get a comment from Roel. So the glucose dropped, and we also used some dumbbells. Nice. Also dropped levels. So this is right after a meal. Naked carbs drive the numbers up extremely high. Yep.
Yeah. If you're going to eat carbs, which you will, cover them with protein or fat before you eat them, or at least with it. But you're exactly right.
Are we still live on Facebook? Seems Tom, it is frozen up on him. And Tom's over on YouTube. I think it says we're live on Facebook. I hope we're still with people like Stan and who else is in there from Linda from Facebook. Let us know. And if you have any more questions, we'll be here for a few more minutes. I see the dogs are coming around.
The dogs are coming. They want to join in. Let's see if I can get them up here. There Ike is. He loved the snow today. He played in the snow this morning.
I bet Ike did love the snow.
These are mountain dogs. They love the snow. They don't get to see much of it. So,
thank you guys. Okay, we're good on Facebook there. Thank you, Carter. Thank you, Ashley. All right, let's see here. I don't think I've missed anybody. If I have, quickly put it at the end of my feed so I can see it. Real quick, I'm going to put this up while we're waiting. I want to plug this one because it's one of my favorite conversations I've ever had. So it's Jamie Winthrop. What do you hope for? We like to put this up around this time of year. For a lot of people, it could be a hard time. So I would encourage anybody who might be feeling that way to check out this episode with my friend Jamie. This is one I kind of I watch on a quasi regular basis. Such a good conversation. We love Jamie Winship so much. So I hope you guys would check that out if you need to. There's Izzy. Look at that. Izzy, you're so cute. You're so cute, Izzy. I got to hang out with you a few days ago. Let's put this in from Debbie. Okay, so Debbie's saying, as a type 1, I use exercise to lower my insulin doses. That's great. That's great. Thank you, Debbie.
Something that I don't know if you're a candidate for this, Debbie, but a lot of type 1s are using Ozempic and Mounjaro. My daughter, Kelly, does.
Yeah.
It's really brought down her requirements for insulin. She probably takes half the insulin she used to. Because I know it's off label, but a lot of the endos are using it. Certainly I do in my practice. But especially if you have a weight problem, it's great because Kelly is as lean as she ever was.
Yeah.
With taking less insulin. The more insulin you have to take, the more hungry you are.
Yeah.
So don't count that out. If I don't know what your weight is or anything, but it's also can be good for type 1s.
Debbie, thank you for that kind comment. I see. I'm going to put this up from Mark with the bee bread. Bee bread has proteins and amino acids rich in B vitamins, B1, B2, B6, B9, and fat-soluble vitamins, A, E, and K.
Wow. Now that sounds like, if that tastes decent, I don't know why it's not made more.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? That'd be like a sweet bread, wouldn't it?
That's amazing. That's interesting. So Debbie's saying they won't give that to type 1s in Australia. Won't give the GLP-1s like Ozempic and.
It's interesting because I saw a couple from Australia in my practice this year, and it was interesting because we got into this discussion about COVID, and of course we treated a lot of off-label COVID things and had a lot of success with it. And when COVID was going on, you followed the news a lot, and you saw what other countries were doing. Were they locking it down? And you knew Canada would. They were even worse than we were. And by the way, I'm really happy that the Stanford epidemiologist is going to go work with the new administration. He's a noted epidemiologist who went against the grain with the COVID regulations. Oh, I got him. His name's blanking out on me, but Bahara is a real guy.
Yeah, I think it's Mahara. That sounds about right. Sounds something like
that. I think. But anyway, he was the author of the Great Barrington Declaration that said we should not be closing our schools. We should not be distancing, using masks. It's worthless. We should let the virus run through, develop a natural immunity, and in retrospect, that's what we should have done. But anyway, the whole point of me saying this is because this couple from Australia that I asked him about, I said, why was Australia a country I think of as being, free-spirited, surfer dudes, partying, fun-loving, free spirits? I go, I can't believe they locked down people worse than the United States did, worse than Canada did. I mean, look at what they did to Djokovic. They wouldn't let him play in the tournament because, he didn't have an immunization, even though he had natural immunity because he got COVID. But, housed him in a prison motel, sent him back. This is the #1 player in the world. And in any event, so they were very strict with their lockdowns. I mean, unbelievably strict with them. So I posed this question to this Australian couple. I go, that does not sound like Australians, what I've always thought of as Australians. You've been there a couple times yourself, Ben. And they said, no. They said Australians are rule followers. They blindly follow what anybody says. So I'd be interested to see what Debbie thinks. I mean, obviously, if they won't allow you to use Ozempic as a type 1, there's something wrong with that. Doctors over here can use anything they want off label. Half of what we do is off label, any doctor, probably more than that. So it's very interesting that your government won't allow you to take a treatment that could really help you out. So it'd be interesting your feedback on what you think about it, the way Australia is, because it totally shocked me that they acted that way with COVID, and now they're acting that way with you. It's odd that you could do it over here, but not over there. Again, it may be who knows.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
I don't know if Australia has a socialized medicine type program. If it does, and that kind of explains it, they don't want to pay the money for it. And here's your rules. Here's how you do. That's one reason I don't like socialized medicine. Somebody asked me last week, why don't you like Medicare for all? Because it's basically socialized medicine. I couldn't be practicing the way I do. There's no way. I mean, I'd just be saying, here's your thing. Here's your prescription. See ya. It'd be like,
a DMV.
Yeah, it really would. You do not want your government regulating all your health care. And fortunately, in this country, we don't have that. So a lot of countries do. And the people I talk to that live in those countries do not like it. It takes them a year to get an MRI of your knee. Over here, you can get it the next day. Granted, we have problems with our private insurance companies, and the expense and all that. Believe me, if our country was in shape, we wouldn't have a healthcare crisis. If we didn't have this obesity epidemic, we have no healthcare crisis at all. Things would run very smoothly, believe me. But in the event, I guess a lot of doctors would be out of business too.
Yeah.
Because we have that, we want to treat. We want to do surgery, give you medicines, not prevent. There's no money in prevention. But it's just interesting. I know I've gone off dialogue here, but we're through with questions anyway. But
no, it's
an interesting comment.
It is. It is, and thank you, Debbie, for sharing that with us. And again, it's one of the reasons I want to do this show is to kind of be a community of where we can talk about what the options are and what options are available and what you can do for yourself and for your own health. So I'm glad we're getting to talk about it, and obviously Doc's super passionate about it. We're passionate about it, and we'll talk more about it. So thank you for that. Doc, how do you think we did tonight? What do you think?
I think you did a 10. I don't judge myself, but all I have to do is answer a question if I know the answer, try to answer it. And again, these things are opinions. Medicine is opinions. And that's what you have to realize. Medicine is not an exact science. It's an art that a lot of your decision-making come with experience and, seeing firsthand things, experiencing yourself, maybe some of the things. And like I've talked about with my own issues with COVID and mouth sores, all that stuff, with your hairy back, you've shared that with us. I'm glad you did, Is that an affliction? You think
I see Sherry's over on Instagram. Sherry, what's going on? It's so good to see you. I miss you so much. It's so good to see you. Thank you, SD Bestie Jasmine. We're getting 10s over there. We appreciate you guys. That's funny. I mean, yeah, I need to wax my back every once in a while.
It is what it is.
There, I said it. Yeah. I said it.
Jasmine does a great job.
She does. She does. All right, guys, we're going to call it an evening, a show, a Tuesday. I hope everybody stays warm tonight. And please, we'll be back next week, Tuesday, 7 to 8, as always, answering your health and wellness questions. I'm seeing a lot of 10s. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Allison. I hope you're doing wonderful in Nashville. The time change, I know it's 6 to 7 there. So I know that kind of throws, throws Bianca for a loop a little bit. So we appreciate all of our Nashville friends in the Central Time Zone hanging out with us tonight. Jerry, thank you. Pop, thank you, man. That was fun.
It's been fun, Ben. I hope you have a good night, rest of your night. And We'll see you soon.
I'm gonna go grab some dinner, and I don't think I'll go see a movie like I said I would. But I will stay warm. I'll stay cozy tonight. Pop, I love you, man.
Love you, man. Good night.
Montana, I see you. I see you. I'll check you guys. I need to head over to the West Knoxville office here soon and hang out with everybody. I love you guys. All right, I'm heading out. Pop, thank you, man. I'm looking for my outro from Brad. Where are we at? See you guys.
Don't go away.